traveling that much unless they're going home. So they'll listen to internet radio, like it's, because it's the closest thing they can listen to when they're bored.
Okay. The next question is, now for you, I mean, in the near future, down the line or whatever, is it possible that you might go BDS, or you might just stay with, oh, you know what, Thomas? Thomas B, I'm gonna stay just internet radio. I'm gonna ride it out. I'm good. I mean, any thought about going BDS, or you just thought about it one morning and you say, you know what, I'm gonna stay internet radio. What's your take on that?
My intentions is to build a relationship with the BDS, and there are some internet stations that have done it already. They will have to financially contribute to it, but there is a lot more information about getting BDS. I think the challenge is that I want to be BDS track, but I also want the artists that I play and a lot of the music in Christian hip hop, because my station format is Christian hip hop and rhythm and praise music, which is like the R&B style of hip hop and R&B, but it's gospel, it's Christian.
Right.
But I want most of those artists to also be registered with BDS tracking, so it makes a better way of seeing that their music is getting tracked in other stations that might play the music. So that's the dilemma. But I do want to be BDS tracked, for Hot 316 radio. I would love to, there's a lot of other ideas I would love to have too, but I don't know. But I just have to, be obedient to what God has got me in right now.
Yeah, that's true. Because sometimes I know the courts was battling against it, but sometimes in my mind I was like, Lord, what maybe venture down the line, the Lord might make a way where internet radio do go BDS. You think it's possible?
Well, like I said, it's already happening now. There are internet stations, like gospel stations, that are internet based that are BDS tracked. So it's happening. It's already happening. It's just that for gospel, it's easy because most of the gospel artists do get it. The labels get it. They know that's what they survive off of, is the BDS tracking.
Right.
But as far as independent artists and as far as the line of work, it's depending on different types of styles of Christian music. This is where we also have to I continue to keep educating artists that are independent to make sure that they get their music registered with SoundScan and Nielsen as far as BDS tracking, because that shows up on the Billboard chart.
Right.
And so right now, in the line of music I do, Christian hip hop doesn't have it's not an official genre, and it's not tracked. It's tracked now, but it was tracking gospel until Lecrae kind of just changed the dynamic, and gospel artists in the community said, no, we don't want it tracking here because they're going to win. So they got them kicked out of the gospel category and moved them over to Christian. So now you got, Lecrae and Derek Minor and some of these other artists who are registered with BDS being, the music is being charted and tracked in with white Christian artists' music, like, that plays on K-Love and Air One Radio. Yeah. Challenge.
Yeah. Wow. Now, my next question is, for support system, as far as you're trying to do this balance piece of, because you got a lot of things going on. I mean, you got, you're constantly dealing with radio, you're time consuming, then you got a family, and then, then whatever else, if you tie with the church or something, then you got to do with that. I mean, how do DJ Jesus Beats balance his schedule? How do you get through the day? I mean, how do you balance that every day?
I ask that question to myself every other day too, and the only answer I can come up with is that is just the grace and the goodness of God. Because there are days where I'll sit there and I'll look at my schedule, but at the same time, it's a little bit more of a discipline too. Because I can answer that and say it's discipline, which is one of the hardest things for any person to maintain is discipline. And so what I do is I look at my time management. I write out my schedule of what I'm doing, like on my iPhone and stuff like that. So I'll look at my time management. I know that, the most precious time to me is my family. Family time is the most important.
Right.
As a father, spending time with my boys and spending time with my wife. That's even more important, because marriage cannot survive without having communication.
There you go.
So that's my first ministry, under God.
That's right.
But then God says, I'm going to allow you to have a balance that you didn't think that you could have. The job I work for, it's amazing because I work with believers in my job that didn't, at one point I didn't know they were believers. So, but the boss I work for, she makes sure that, that we have this. It's amazing how God allows me to have the time to balance things even when I'm working on a current job. And I make sure not to take advantage of that. And then on top of that, with that blessing, I'm able to do a radio show on a Friday night after work, and my wife is she's a part of it also, but she allows me to do that because I spend time with her and I make sure that she's first, along with my family. And then, on top of that, doing other things like doing mixes and maybe doing a DJ gig and all these other things. So it's just about time management, discipline, being obedient to God, and then being, the best husband I can possibly be and the best father to my family. And because of those things, God has allowed me to have that great time management where it just seems like the impossible is possible.
Awesome. So basically, you're saying you got to have your priorities set right, and then when you do that, God will provide favor, basically.
Pretty much. And like I said, it's different for everybody. But if you can set up your time management and be disciplined on making sure that you set a lot of time for certain things that you need to get done. And it's, like I said, the most important times is like putting God first and giving God your all first. Like you give Him your time first, and then God says, okay, your first ministry is to your family. So if you're married or you got children, you make them their priority also. Don't take away from that time of bonding with your children. If you got children, or if you're married, or like you spending that time with your spouse and making sure that they're number one. They're number one as far as being loved and feeling validated, and then everything else falls into place. And then when it does, you just learn how to work around it and say, okay, maybe I might work 2 or 3 hours on doing some music here, but then I can go ahead and after I might drop it down to 1 hour and still make time for other things out there. So.
Okay, so your hobby, what is your hobby? I know you say spending time with the family, but what is it a specific thing in hobby or no that you got?
Well, my specific hobby is outside of that is just doing mixes, DJing. Like I love DJing. I can't go to a place, an event, and not want to do some music, whatever, because it's just like it's always been my passion. So that's my main passion, is just playing music and really letting the crowd and the audience be, entertained and controlled through what I do, So it's like, for me, DJing is like, it might be, through some people it might be a job and work, but to me, it's just like, that's my quality time. That's like my time where I just love enjoying. I love mixing Christian and gospel music and looking at the faces of people when they kind of get shocked about, was that a Christian song? Like, yeah. Are you a Christian DJ? Yeah. That's for me. That's my hobby right there.
Okay, yeah, for you, that's a way of like for you. Cause I feel the same way. Cause whenever I'm not so much film mixes, but whatever. Whenever just putting music together and making a playlist or whatever it could be, it's the joy of the fact that you're doing something because you love it. You can't just like it. You gotta love it, because like is a temporary type of motion, but love is permanent. You know what I'm saying? So if you love it, you in it to win it, right?
Exactly.
But I also noticed that lately you've been starting to do some YouTube videos. What's up with that one?
I haven't done YouTube, but I'm just doing like Facebook.
Oh yeah, Facebook Live. Yes.
YouTube.
Yeah, Facebook Live.
Well, YouTube, they got some tricks, so I don't mess with YouTube no more. But but Facebook Live videos, I was doing them for a good while, and I continue to try to keep doing it just so the audience, can just kind of get some tips and stuff, and really just share some advice to a lot of the artists, even the DJs or anybody in general about the day-to-day actions of what we do, what I might do, and what some things that goes on in the music industry that I catch wind of, and I think that the artist should be aware of.
Cool, and I think that's so cool because that shows the unselfishness in you in that as far as giving out information where other DJs, those are money hungry, are hey, you got to pay me something for me to give you this information, but you don't do that. I mean, being that you've been doing radio for such a long time, you give it up freely. You
Yeah.
know, and that you know, you got to admit
Well,
that's very rare for to come by.
well, for me, I'm just like I said. For me, I can only answer to what God commands me to do. I can't. For other people, they make a livelihood out of it, and it's a business for them, and that's cool. I respect it because I believe that if you want to turn something that you are great at into a business, then by all means, if you feel that that's what you need to do it. But for me, I take a different approach because I have to listen to what God commands me to do, not what I want to do. My flesh says, go and do a seminar and charge, X amount of dollars to all these, independent and artists and stuff and have them come in, and which I can still do. I still will do that. But that would just be like, for me, it's not the right thing. God says, that's not what I want to do. I need you to be this good steward and be a servant and serve the people first. Because once you learn how to serve, then you know how to lead.
That's
and
true.
So when I'm doing these things, I might have some people might say, man, he's giving out too much information, But hey, that's on them. But for me, I'm listening to what God tells me to do, and I have never missed a meal. I got a roof over my head with my family, and we're still doing things we're supposed to do. I don't have the finances like most people might have, but guess what? I'm still here. And so by me being obedient, God said, hey, look, I'm going to keep you around, and my reward might be every day just to wake up the next morning to see another day. And if that's what my payment is, then I'll take that.
Okay. Another thing, when you're doing, I'm pretty sure you probably do, but I'm gonna ask them anyway, just to let the listeners know. When you're doing your show, do you always seek God on like what the topic to talk about on the show, what music to play in your playlist? I mean, do you seek God for that when you're doing your show, preparation for your show?
Yeah. Most time, yes, it's like that because I'm like, I'm like sometimes I'll have a playlist already ready of what I want to play. And then all of a sudden, it depends on the type of topic or what we might be discussing on the show, or there could be something that happens, like, let's say, for example, the syndicate, there's recent, not the recent one, but it was like several months ago with the shooting at the synagogue, and it happened on a Friday, and that changes the whole tone, people, a mass group of people just got, like the one in Las Vegas, where the people were shot out at the country concert, and that happened on that same day, and it was like, wow, okay, Lord, how do I do a show where I can give encouragement even in the midst of tragedy? And so God would use me to say what I usually say. But there's some shows where I just don't like, it's not always about specifically, everything scriptural based, but it might be a show where last Friday I just did a show, and it was just basically just giving them a mix. So, just let them just enjoy, take their mind off of, if they're coming off of work, or
right,
even when they're,
the ride home,
whatever situation, you just hear these victims.
Yeah. Now another question I got. I know we talk about the music content and stuff, but is there when you're listening to music all as well? Are you? Have there been any artists that you might have said, I'm not going to put them on, or you just are because the quality wasn't good for one, or in other words, you just don't play any music on your show or radio station, do you?
That's correct. I'm a stickler when it comes to music. So what I do is there are songs that if I had an artist submit their music the other day, and they wanted the honest opinion. So I said, look, I listen to your music. It sounds good, but it's not made for radio. So they wanted to be played on the radio station, but it's not made for radio. It's a good song. Now it might be played on a radio show because it does have a good message, but as far as the attention of grabbing the attention of Hot 316 radio's listeners,
right,
it doesn't fit in that format. And so, sometimes some artists have a hard time understanding that because they're like, well, they think that every song they make is supposed to be, everybody's supposed to hear it. And I'm like, there's some songs that are just not good for radio.
Right.
But they might be good for, maybe a theme on a radio show. Or they might be good to be played at if I'm DJing at an event, and I just feel like throwing some filler songs in because I don't want to play all the main hits first when I'm DJing. So I'll put in some filler songs that will just kind of keep the time management going on, with the audience. Then that song will work. But, You know, and I had to let them know that sometimes. And there's some songs that are like, oh no, don't quit your day